Okay, here's another four-part dictation. This one is in 4/4. We have three flats, which is of course E flat major, and I've given you the soprano and the bass notes. First thing I'm going to listen for is the soprano. Actually, wait. Before that, I'm going to do this the right way, and I'm going to make sure I know what note is in each chord. I think it's really important, and I think a lot of people skip that step. Okay, here we go. I don't know about you, but I certainly feel a little bit better now that I've taken the time to figure out which note is in each chord. E flat, G, B flat is in my 1 chord. A flat, C, E flat is in the 4 chord. B flat, D, F is the 5 chord, or B flat, D, F, A flat. And then 1/6/4, I didn't even bother to write it because it's the same as 1. It's just that the 5th will be in the bass. Okay, so that feels good. Now I've got that step figured out. Let's listen to this bass. I realized I got a little stuck because I could hear that the first three notes, it was just the do going down a step to T and back up to do, but then there was a leap and I wasn't really sure how far down that leap went. Let's listen to it again. Da, 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 da. So I'm not really sure how far that is just from listening to it. In my head I can think da da. If I can fill in the steps da 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 do ti la so. There, I think it's a leap from do down to so. Once we got past that leap, it was mostly stepwise, I believe. The next thing I'm going to do is, since I know what the chords are going to be, I'm going to just see if I can guess what the bass note probably will be, and just based on theory. Okay, so there are a couple of these that could go either way. Most of them it's pretty easy to figure out. If I have do in the soprano, and chances are it's going to start with the 1 chord. It could start with the 4 chord, but I'm going to guess it's probably going to start with the 1 chord. Okay. Then if it goes to a D in the soprano, my choices are, it could be the 5 chord. 5 chord has a D in it. It could be the 5/7 chord. Either way, the bass note is going to be B flat, because that's really the only possible choice. Do, again, whenever you have the E flat, it could either be the 1 chord or the 4 chord. This maybe should be a two-way one. I probably should have, it could go either way. I'm pretty sure it's the 1 chord. But if you weren't sure, I could put both in and I could listen and hear if it sounds like the bass goes down by a step or if it goes down bigger than that. So let's just assume that I'm right about that. This one here, if I just base it on theory, again, if it's a B flat, it could either be, the B flat could be the 5th of the 1 chord, or it could be the root of the 5 chord or the 5/7 chord. So it could either be an E flat or a B flat. So I'm just going to put them both here and I'm going to listen the next time, see what it is. If I have C, there's only 1 chord that has a C in it, which is the 4 chord. So it has to be an A flat, because these are all root position chords. If it's a B flat, again, it could go either way, so maybe this one should have this in it also, as a possibility. The A flat, if you have an A flat, there are 2 chords that have an A flat in it. There is the 4 chord, and also the 5/7 chord. And then G, how many chords have a G in it? Just one, the 1 chord. So I'm pretty sure this one's right. This one I'm not sure about. This one I'm maybe not sure about. This one I may be not sure about. So basically all of these that have an X I'm not 100% sure of. So let's listen to it again. I'm going to start by listening to the very end, the last 2 chords, and I'm going to try to figure this out. Is it 4 going to 1 or is it 5 going to 1? Bum, 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 bum. Can you hear that in the bass? I'll play it again. Bum, 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 bum. Now if I'm not sure how big that leap is, I'm just going to fill it in with scaled notes. Bum, ba, da, 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 da. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. I'm pretty sure that that's the 5. Okay, I could work backwards from there, and I could listen and say, does this chord here, does the bass note sound like it stays the same? Does it sound like it goes 5, 5, 1, or does it go 1, 5, 1? Does it leap like that? Well, let's listen and figure it out. Just listen to these last 3 chords again. Bum, bum, bum. They sound. Can you hear that the bass goes 5, B flat, B flat, E flat? It doesn't go E flat, B flat, E flat. It goes B flat, B flat, E flat. The only one that we have question mark under still is actually this one right here. So I should be able to listen and go, it should go 1, 5, 1, 1, 4, or 1, 5, 1, 5, 4. So I want to figure out what happens from here to here. Does it go up like that, or does it stay on the same note? Let's listen. I'll play it one more time. So I heard it go bum 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 bum. I heard it stay on the same note. Hopefully you heard that. You can listen to it again, but pretty sure that's what it is. So now we have a bass line that we're pretty sure about and a soprano line that we're pretty sure about. Now what I'm going to do before I start trying to fill in the inner notes is I'm going to write down what I think the harmonic analysis probably is, so I mean the Roman numerals. Alright, the only one that I'm not 100% sure of just by theory alone is this one right here. So let's go back to the beginning and just I'll talk you through it. Like I said, most of these are root position chords. So if it's an E flat, it's going to be an E flat chord. If it's a B flat, it's going to be either 5 or 5/7 or 1/6/4. We don't expect usually a 1/6/4 this early on. Usually the 1/6/4 comes right before a cadence. 1/6/4, 5/7, 1. So I'm going to guess that it's 5, and if later I decide that I hear the A flat in there somewhere, then I can change it to 5/7. Here's my 1 chord again. This is still my 1 chord. The bass note stayed the same, and the soprano just moved from E flat to B flat, so it stayed within the chord. So it's just a revoicing of the same chord. So there's 2 1s in a row. That's totally fine. Here I've got A flat in the bass and C in the soprano, so it's a 4. By the way, this is a good time if you go through and do the harmonic analysis. If I suppose that I was going through to figure out the harmonic analysis and I had an A flat here, let's say I had a D here, then I'd be like, hey, what chord has an A flat and a D? The answer is none of these chords. So something must be wrong. Either the bass is wrong or the soprano is wrong. So it's a good time to double check that when you're doing the Roman numeral analysis. This is the one that I had a question about, because it could be that this is a B flat chord with B flat in the bass and also B flat in the soprano, or it could be a 1/6/4 chord with my 1/6/4 would have the 5th in the bass, B flat, and then you would double the bass. Remember, in 1/6/4 you double the bass. So we don't really know. We're not really sure. Is it a 5 or is it a 1/6/4? We'll have to listen and find out. And if this is a B flat, which we decided that it was, and this is an A flat, then this has got to be a 5/7, because it's the only chord that has both a B flat and an A flat in it. And then it makes sense to end with a 1 chord. So before I play it again, I'm going to use my theory, use what I know about theory. Remember, the 1/6/4 is very often a preparation for the dominant, preparation for the 5. So I'm going to guess that it's probably a 1/6/4, but I'm going to listen and see if they sound like they're the same chord, just revoiced, or if they sound like different chords. Let's listen. Those last 3 chords. To me, they sound like they're different chords. Now I'm just going to treat this like a theory exercise. I'm going to pretend that I got this in theory class. Here's the soprano and bass. Please fill in the alto, tenor. Okay, so I just ran into a little question with the very first chord. You can see how I've voiced it here. I put the B flat in the tenor and the G in the alto. I could have done it this other way, so check this out. I could have maybe put the tenor in the G and the alto and the B flat. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. Put the G on the tenors on the G and the altos on the B flat. But the little problem with that is, if you can see, if I look at the distance between the tenor and the alto, we have the distance of a tenth. Now remember, you can't have more than an octave between any of the upper three voices. So I've got soprano, alto, tenor, bass. I can't have more than an octave here or more than an octave here. I can have an octave, but I can't have more than an octave. Now between tenor and bass, it's a different story. You can have as much space as you want. But here it can't be greater than an octave. So I'm going to go with my first guess, which is up here. Okay, I thought I'd stop and show you this here. So at the beginning, I told you how I came to this. Here, I need, remember I'm going to double the root, so it's this chord. It's the B flat D F chord, but I need two B flats. So it's easy to move the soprano down to, well, the soprano we've already figured out what it is. The altos, it makes sense to move them just down to the nearest chord tone, which is an F. The tenors are already on the root, so I'm actually going to leave the tenors here, and then the basses are going to go up here, so they're going to join, so they're going to both be on the B flat. So when I make the stems, I'm going to put this one like that and that one like that, and I think that's going to work out. Of course, we'll double check it as we go. And then the next thing I wanted to show you is I went back to the same voicing I had over here, so you can see these two chords are the same. And now it's just another voicing, another voicing of the one chord. So remember, the soprano jumped down a fourth here, and the altos, if I leave the altos where they are, I can just have the tenors basically switch places with the soprano. So the sopranos were on the root and they jumped down to the fifth. The tenors were on the fifth and they jumped up to the root. So that's kind of nice. And the basses and the altos stay in the same place. So I think that will probably work. And I still have, I'm just checking that I have a doubled root, two E flats, and then a G and a B flat. And here I have two E flats, a G, and a B flat. So that seems to work. Well, let's keep going. Okay, now the 4 chord, nothing special here. I kept the tenors right where they were. Whenever possible, I try to keep notes on the same, keep common notes. I mean, that's the smoothest voice leading there is, going from an E flat to an E flat. You can't move any less than that. And I've got the altos moving up by step and the sopranos moving up by step, and I'm still have the right doubling. So now when I go here to the 1-6-4 chord, see, my handwriting's not great, but these are actually the same note. If you can see, they're both 2 ledger lines up. So the tenors actually stay on the E flat, sopranos and altos both go down a step, and the bass goes up a step. So then on the 6-4 chord, just keep in mind that, remember, in the 6-4 chord you double the bass. So I have a B flat here and a B flat here. I need to have that bass doubled. And then we decided this is the 5-7 chord, and I'm able to make it a complete 5-7 chord just by moving the sopranos go down a step, altos go down to the F, tenors go down to the D, and basses stay on the B flat. So it's a, I don't know if I'm in the right key. 5-7, not even close. But yeah, that's the this is the complete one. Now I'm at a little bit of a loss here. Well, not a loss, but just what do I do next? After these completed 5-7 chords, you can go to an incomplete 1 chord. So in other words, you can triple the root and leave out the 5th. And I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. So I've got a leading tone here, and I made the leading tone go up. The leading tone really loves to go up, especially if it's in the soprano. But if it's even in the inner voice, we're going from 5-7 to 1. That leading tone loves to go up. The 7th loves to go down a step. So if I do that, that means at the end, I've got the sopranos on a G, then I've got E flat, E flat, E flat. I've got 3 voices on the root, but that's okay especially after a complete 5-7 chord. If for some reason on the test, people always want to know, like, what about on the test? How will you do this on the test? If for some reason you decided to make this a complete 1 chord somehow, so you added the 5th, I promise I won't take off much. I mean, the goal is that you can write down what I actually play, But if you write something down that makes pretty good sense, but it's just a slight difference, like you had, let's say you have the, let's say that you decided that the altos must have gone down. I'm not sure. I have to think about it. But let's say somehow you made this a complete chord. It doesn't matter how you did it. I won't take off. It's not going to be a make or a break. You know. Now I'm going to play it again, and let's see if that sounds about right. So just based on my intuition and kind of just following along, that looks like, it sounds like what I expect it to sound like, and it looks like how I expect it to look. So here I'm going to play it with emphasizing the tenor part. So I do it again. This time I'm going to bring out the alto part. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and if it wasn't, you only have to watch it once.